got this Aquatru reverse osmosis water filter. I figure I'll drink my well water. I'm just installing the filters. I washed the input water and the output water bins. This is vacuum sealed. Try not to touch this end, so you don't want it contaminated. Peel that off. Go on, easy. You're supposed to be able to pull them forward, but they're too stiff to pull. I think it might break. This is the workhorse, the RO filter. Red arrow lines up with red arrow in the front. Hope they don't leak. Finally, the exit carbon filter. Final filtration. And I guess it adds better taste, I don't know. O-rings are pre-lubed. Okay. Then this cover goes on, slides on, just like that. Okay, now I fill this thing. Make sure they're both seated. Gotta plug it in. Filter reset, press for 3 seconds. 24 volt, 2 amps in. It's wobbly. I wonder why it's wobbly like that. Oh, the switch was on. Gotta cycle it 4 times. I bought water to cycle it. I want to cycle it with my tap water. Damn, this thing is a pain in the ass. That tape, should not have thrown it away. Use painter's tape to hold that thing on. One piece should do it. Pour the water in. Hold a gallon? Supposed to hold a gallon. Yeah, it's just a gallon. Take another reading. $35. 35 parts per million dissolved solids. Now I turn it on, and it should make a bunch of bubbles and dirt. You can see the bubbles now. It's like hear water flowing. There it goes. Anyway, I'll turn the camera off because this is going really slow. So that's it. That's the front of the unit. The light just goes around and around and around. This is the 5th run. Now this is my well water. So we'll see how it does. The bottled water is taking 14 minutes to filter. So that's a benchmark to compare this to. And my well water, solid particles, dissolved solid particles, TDS is 148. 148 in, which is a lot compared to the bottled water. Bottled water was 35. And the 4th output water was 36 parts per million, which is kind of weird. It was higher than the bottled water going in. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if this machine will last on my well water. We'll see. So I've been using this Aquatru water filter now for a week, and it seems to work good. So this is tap water. Pour into the tap water container. This is a sample of the tap water, and it's 150 parts per million of total dissolved solids. 150. That'll drop a little bit, I've found, from my experience. Anyway, close the lid, push the button. Okay, about 14 minutes. Now I'll take a water sample of the filtered water. Let me get in there with my light and camera in the way. Got it there. Made a mess. And that has a TDS of 14. Only 14. That's the quality. That's the quality of a really good bottled water. One last thing to mention, that filtration was the 20th one, so I filtered 20 gallons of water thus far. Now they say to flush it and don't use the water for the first 4 flushes, but I found up to the 9th and 10th flushing, there were a couple tiny little filter material particles in the water, because I shine a bright flashlight through the water and then you can see stuff like that. So the first 10 I filtered pretty quick, and it was getting numbers like the third, the output was 39 parts per million in the clean water, then 37 for the 4th, 28 for the 5th, the 6th dropped to 30, and then finally by the 11th run it dropped to 15. That's when the filters finally got to their optimum. And then ever since then it dropped to 11, 13, 17, 13 and 17, 13 and 17 and 11 are so close in particles that they're practically the same. And I generally now get 15, 14, got a 12, and this one was a 14. That's pretty pure water. Very pure water.